Tonight on Mob Talk, the unsolved gangland-style murder of a longtime Philly wise guy, Raymond Long John Martorano. Dave Schratweiser and the Inquirer's George Anastasia have new insights in tonight's Mob Talk.
Welcome to this week's edition of Mob Talk. I'm Dave Schratweiser.
And I'm George Anastasia with the Philadelphia Inquirer.
George, this week we're going to talk about the murder of Raymond Long John Martorano in January 2002 in the middle of rush hour.
Yeah, it's another one of those unsolved mob hits that the feds would like to put into their ongoing racketeering investigation, but again, it's a question of whether they have enough evidence to make the case.
And the shooting took place right here on Pembroke.
Right here, and then he tries to drive himself to the hospital after he takes 3 or 4 hits.
So, George, let's start with the murder. 911 call about 3 shots fired here on Pemberton Street. No witnesses.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those situations where the feds and everybody involved are still trying to figure out how exactly it went down. More importantly, why it went down. That's the key to all of this. Long John Martorano has been around forever. He was away for 15, 16 years serving a murder conviction for the kind of the infamous hit in the 1980s, the murder of John McCullough. He was accused of hiring Willard Moran to rub out McCullough, who was trying to get back into the union business in Atlantic City. This goes all the way back to 1980. And Martorano's a player from back then. He just comes out of jail when that murder conviction is overturned, and he's in his 70s. And I think the word went out, you're done now, you're retired, take it easy. But for some reason, the allegation is he wanted to get back involved. He had a long history of being involved in gambling, being involved in methamphetamine, being involved in the drug trade. And for whatever reason, you know, the conventional wisdom is he had more money than God. He didn't need to get back involved, but he did want to get back involved. Right. And when he ignored the word to stay out, that's why he got hit.
Independent guy, kind of thought on his own, 74 years old. You'd think he'd had enough and want to go his merry way. Yeah,
I mean, there was talk he was going to retire to Italy, that he didn't need any of this. On the other hand, you know, some of these guys, it's their whole life, it's who they are. And the other thing is, I guess if you do 15, 16 years, you have a sense of entitlement. You did your time, you didn't talk, you were a stand-up guy, now you come back out, you want a piece of what's going on. That at least is the theory about why he was hit. Now, whether we ever find that out, as you said, this is a difficult case to crack because there were no witnesses. Some supposition in the beginning who the hitmen were, but that's kind of petered out. Don't know where it's going to go.
All right, so last week we talked about a message being sent in the murder of Ron Turchi. Is a message being sent here too as well?
Well, I mean, this one occurs at a time when there's no doubt in law enforcement's mind that Joe Lagambi is the alleged boss of the crime family. So this is a hit if it comes from organized crime, comes from that administration. The message apparently is, your day, Mr. Martorano, is over. Stay out of the businesses. That's the theory. But again, it's just like with the other hit we talked about last week, the Turchi hit. Whether they're going to be able to prove any of this, whether they can put it in a racketeering case, remains to be seen.
Seems to me that of all the 3 murders we're going to talk about here, this is the one least likely that they could solve because there are no witnesses and nobody sees anything.
Yeah, I mean, if there were witnesses here, nobody's come forward, and now it's been how many years? I doubt very much if a witness is going to come forward.
We need an insider, correct?
It looks like, yeah, unless you have somebody involved in the planning or the carrying out of this hit, I don't think this murder is going to go anywhere.
All right, George, in mob circles, everybody knew the name Long John Martorano, but who is he?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been around forever, and back in the 70s, he and his brother had a vending machine company, and Angelo Bruno, the boss of the family, was supposedly a commissioned salesman for their vending machine company. So his connections to Bruno were established over a long period of time. Long John Martorano, Raymond Martorano, was always a player, and he was involved with Bruno, then he was involved with Scarfo. And then I think Scarfo tapped in to make sure that McCullough was rubbed out when McCullough was trying to kind of elbow his way back into the union, bartender union in Atlantic City. So Martorano was a guy with connections, also historically a big-time moneymaker, always made money. So this was a guy who knew his way around the ins and the outs of the underworld. And when he's coming out of jail and wants to get back involved, I think certain people said, no, your day is over.
Let's talk about whacking a 74-year-old man, though. I mean, some people would say, why do that? You know, what's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, I don't think that when it comes to this kind of business, that doesn't matter. This guy... Yeah,
no sympathy for a 74-year-old.
I mean, this guy should have been retired. I mean, in fact, I think Long John was on his way to see his heart doctor. I think he had a pacemaker already implanted. Was on his way to see his heart doctor when they hit him. So, yeah, you got to wonder about the whole mentality of that. This guy, given his age, given his physical condition, is he really a threat? But on the other hand, it's a question of this is business. This is the way we do business.
Fall in line or else.
Yeah, we told you to stay away. You didn't. Now you got to pay the price, the ultimate price.
All right, next week we're going to talk about the murder of John Casasanto, the last of the 3 unsolved hits that we've been focusing on.
Right, and that's a murder that occurs in his own house. He apparently lets the hitman into his house. And the feds have already identified one suspect in that case. But again, it's a question of, do they have enough evidence to make it stick in a racketeering case? That's where we are.
All right, we're going to get into that next week. That's this week's version of Mob Talk. We'll see you next week.